Thank you so much for joining us. I am going to go ahead and get started. And we're super grateful that you were willing to share some of your time with us. And I definitely hope that you get some value out of the presentation today. So before we start, I'm sure you're all new to webinars, but I just will remind you, we're going to take Q&A and we're going to answer it live at the end of the presentation. If you are so inclined, you can click closed captions, if I can speak, and that'll present in written form as well while we're going through. And we do recommend, we're going to be demonstrating the solution. Actually, not we. Ali is going to be demonstrating the solution. You should put yourself into full screen if you can, so that you get the best viewing results. And for anyone, before you ask, we will be recording this session. We'll send an email out to you with a link to the recording. So if there's content in here that's particularly valuable to you, you'll have it in your inbox after today. And again, thank you for joining us. Before I jump in, I do just want to let you know who's speaking to you. This is Schoox. We have been in the learning management learning space for many, many years. We were founded in 2012. We have over 4,500 customers, 20 million learners use our platform every day from 180 different countries. The solution is in multiple languages. I will just point out, as part of this over 4,000 customers, we have a tremendous number of restaurants that are real innovators that have helped shape, one, not only the product and product direction, but some of our vision for how we're going to continue to evolve, not old learning management systems, but what learning systems need to become to keep pace with the kind of change that so many of our customers are experiencing. So I'm thrilled. I'm Sandra Moran. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Schoox. I actually have been a learning leader, running global learning for our customers, partners, and employees at Workforce Software before I joined Schoox. And I am thrilled to have Ali Zaheer, our Senior Director of Solution Consulting, with us as well. He's going to actually present a glimpse into what we think is the future of learning. And I'm just going to take 10 minutes because I know that seeing a solution in action really helps bring it to life for you. But I just want to set the stage. And I'm going to share some information on what we see restaurant operators rolling out now. AI has definitely left the pilot phase and is making its way into operations. And talk a little bit about how this accelerated pace of change is impacting learning. That has really shaped a lot of our product roadmap. What we think is important are our vision for helping organizations use learning as a capability that really helps them realize the value of the investments that they're making in AI and other operational changes. And I'm going to set up what you're going to be seeing in the presentation from Ali. So let's dive in, and I want to talk about what we see organizations roll out today. I've pulled some statistics together for you. 69% of operators reporting that they're actually adopting AI in their operations. 82% of restaurant executives saying that they're increasing investments in AI. And across the bottom, I just pulled some use cases that we know our customers are either evaluating or an active rollout with today. And whether that's, AI voice ordering, whether that's kiosks inside stores, there certainly is a huge proliferation of data available now to CMOs to think about guest experience, to think about how they're going to promote loyalty, and do that profitably, not everything leading to just a discounted coupon, but how do we drive loyalty? How do we increase the number of guests that come in and also their experience, even while we're rolling out some of these AI innovations. And whether these are the areas that you're pursuing or you're pursuing others, what we see is that every one of these kinds of operational changes actually has an impact to the frontline workers and requires a behavior change that we have to think about. How are we supporting with comprehensive learning capabilities? So the truth is that innovations, again, whether they're AI or just operational changes, are really being defined at a corporate level. And we're not always thinking about or planning for how those changes are going to be supported by the learning systems that we have in place. And it certainly isn't a talent problem. It is, how do we actually support changing behaviors at scale, even as change is occurring so much more rapidly? So these kinds of changes don't reduce training burden, they actually are multiplying the training burden. So whether it's a new POS system or voice ordering or automation in the kitchen, or how we support something like kiosk ordering with personalized experiences at scale, what that means to learning teams is they often have more content that they need to build faster, that any of those gaps in performance and performance consistency have a cost implication to the organization. That very often, don't forget, frontline managers are workers that you have to address as well. How are we not only training employees but supporting managers so that they can be also more effective in supporting this level of change? And I don't have to remind you that in restaurants, we have all of this increased training requirement, and we still have some of the same fundamental turnover issues. So it's really a different kind of training that we see being effective for frontline workers in this industry in particular. Now, I put this in here because I thought this was really valuable. In most cases where we see very high adoption of new technology, in this case, I'll repeat the stat from the beginning, 69% of restaurant operators reporting that they're actually rolling out new innovations. This industry ranks itself last in capability and readiness to adopt. And some of that comes from the fact that we were already seeing gaps in the ability to onboard new workers, bring them to productivity faster. And really, that's a skills gap that exists today, even before we layer on all of these innovations that are coming. So, in many industries with high AI adoption, they have high readiness capabilities, and in hospitality, that is not the case, but there is an answer to that. And I think as organizations are thinking about these kinds of operational changes and investments that they're rolling out, what we don't want to do is say that learning is not capable of supporting those at scale. And when we envision and invest $200 million in a new restaurant format rollout, we don't want that investment not to be realized because we are not capable of keeping pace with that change. So I pulled a stat for you. For every capability, every new operating practice rolled out, the ability to support adoption, like upskilling at scale, you'll see it to almost 2.5 times greater return on investment for that initial investment. So what we need to address then are, how do we identify the skills that need to be developed? How do we consistently roll those out and demonstrate that we're actually able to improve those skills in an environment that has a fairly high turnover? How do we actually progress people through that learning system? And there's 4 areas that we believe are necessary to change that, to really realize the value of these capabilities. The first is purpose. that training content needs to be purpose built for the specific capabilities that are needed. Two, we have to be able to do that at pace. That is ever increasing now that there's more operational changes, new menu items, new AI, customer loyalty programs, etc. And course completion is no longer enough to demonstrate that learning is having an impact on competency. And lastly, we have to be able to do that at scale. Can I get the right training to the right employees at the right time? So, what we're talking about is not just faster and more training, but transitioning from generic course catalogs, one size fits all. Hey, if they took the class, the outcome is assumed, to purpose built programs, identifying not only the skills that need to be developed, but what are the observable behaviors, and to be able to partner with leadership in order to forecast what we believe the impact of investments in training are actually going to yield with a better trained workforce. So I'm going to turn it over to Ali, and I'm going to just orient you. He's going to take you through three real key demo moments addressing those areas. One, how do we identify skills? And not only identify skills, but map those to the business KPIs that our organizations are actually trying to improve. Two, once we know what is the skills development that we need to support, where do we get the content to produce purpose-built training that is optimized for that frontline worker? And third, great, they took the class. How do we reinforce training so that we see the behavior change and we reinforce what we took in a class in real world when people are trying to apply those skills? So I'm going to turn it over to Ali, and we'll just give a second for the screen share.
Thank you, Sandra. Yes. Hi, everyone. So everything that you just heard is a problem. So here's the solution. What you're looking on screen right now is what we have prepared for the demo. This is a coffee company, Terra Brew, and it will basically give you all the details, um, such as map skills, skills relationships. But before we even get there, I want to show you what the system requires as basic information. So here in this case, we have selected a job role called shift supervisor. We've added a job description, company name, and the industry. Once the impact suite has this basic information, it will generate data for you where it will suggest skills. Now, what I've already done here, I've mapped skills, which is where AI is suggesting the skills, the groupings, the importance score, and the reasoning. You can accept these or reject these. You can even have a mix of AI suggested skills or manually added skills. But once you set this up and generate the data, it will give you details such as skills relationships, where it will tell you the skills that are required on a daily basis for a shift supervisor. Here are all the skills, and it also gives you the justifications. It also provides you proficiency. So down to those individual skills, what is the expectation? So here on screen, I have customer service resolution with the different proficiency levels. Now, this could be used as a guide. Some companies use this for on-the-job training checklists or job descriptions, but the system provides you all of those insights because sometimes your learning leaders might not have access to that information. So if I click on station assignment, it tells you here what is the shift supervisor expected to do at the foundational level, operational level, and the advanced level. So that information is provided too. And then when I click on impact by skills, it will give the information over here on the left-hand side around each and every skill, and also all the KPIs and the business metrics on screen. So what it's saying here is if we spend training each and every shift supervisor on customer service resolution skill, it is going to have a very high impact on customer complaint resolution rate, customer satisfaction, and customer return rate. All of this information, again, as I mentioned, is there to give them insights, to give them details, so they can use it in a planning format. So this is more impact by skills. But then when I also look at impact by categories, this is where the information is now displayed by business function. So let's say you've got senior leaders together in a room where they're going through a workshop or they're brainstorming or a planning session. Now they can focus on revenue and sales growth and the different KPIs that it will have an effect on. If I click on operational efficiency, average order fulfillment time, so that sort of information is available for the learning leaders to actually go through, specify, look, identify, and then from there on, plan. And then the last part here is if I click on impact profile, it will then give them details such as monetary gains over here, such as, and in this case, I've clicked on overview. And what it tells us here is if we train each and every shift supervisor at Terrabrew, which is our fictional company here, there is a potential monetary gain of 151,000 approximately. But we've also added realism factors because we also understand that not everyone will complete their training, and if they do, they might not apply all of those trainings on a daily basis. So that's why we have a realism factor where we've got a realistic gain of 94,000 approximately. Details are there. The senior leaders can actually go through this, but the key information here is where do we focus on? Where are the gaps? The platform gives you those details, and then they will be able to, from here on, move into the next section, which is creating training plans. Sandra, did you want to add anything over here?
Yeah, I just want to chime in, Ali. Thank you so much. And you know what I hear so much from potential customers and our existing customers is just getting access to this data is so difficult, even for HR as well as training. How are we going to prove the efficacy of training if we don't have access to how specific training actually impacts business KPIs? So I hope that that was clear through the session. And again, Ollie, you're talking about the next. Now that I know how these managers can impact these various KPIs, where do we get the training materials that we need to actually build those specific skills?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sandra, for mentioning that. Yes, we've removed the guesswork out of the entire thing here. So in order to get the training plan and to focus on areas that the system has identified as gaps, what we have created is called impact learning plans. And when I click on this here, because for the demo purposes, we've created some plans which I will take you through. I do want to show you how it works and how the system will help you create that content. So if I click on create over here, the system will then ask you what job role are you going to focus on. So let's say we've been talking about shift supervisor. When I click on this, you can go ahead and train specific shift supervisors at specific locations. Or you could simply say, I'm going to roll this out to all shift supervisors. So let's go ahead and create approximately, say, 20 courses. When I click on next, the system gives you some options, such as if this is an AI generated learning plan that you'd like to choose, where is the information going to be coming from? We could choose from web knowledge, which means it's going to go out, look at public available information, and create content out of it. Or you can even guide the AI engine to go ahead and choose resources. Now, resources means job aids, could be videos, could be recipes, SOPs, whatever you have in the library. The system will basically look for information in those resources and generate content for you. Now, we also have another situation where what if we already had a lot of courses created? What happens to those courses? To go through that scenario, we've also created what we call AI optimized plan, which is when I click on this, the system will go ahead and take into consideration all of your courses in the Schoox learning system, and then tell you how close or how relevant they are. And then from there on, you can decide this is great relevancy. We're going to keep the course because if you don't have great relevancy, you have an option for AI to go in and create the course for that gap also for critical skills and so on. If I scroll down, you can also, while creating the learning plan, choose your training focus areas, your plan focus areas, such as I want to include all the skills that I had selected as part of this role to be included in the training plan. Or you could simply say, I want customer service resolution, conflict resolution to be the focus area for this training plan. What you can also do is you can go ahead, click on critical skills, or you could say, I am going to spend time on the business impact significance, where again, please keep in mind, this is just a sample demo here. You'll see your gains on the right-hand side, your yearly values, and then it will help you choose your focus areas. Or if you don't want to do that, we've also created another area where you can go in and simply type in your problem statement that I am trying to focus on order accuracy rate and more efficiency, and then the system will help you generate content that way. Okay, so this is how you would set the basis for the system to generate content. Now, I've already done that beforehand, so let's go ahead and click on Shift Supervisor Excellence Path. This is where it is creating all of those training plans together with your skills. The relationship that we spoke about earlier, we're looking at the same information, but this time the content has been connected to that. As you can see here, that for these 5 skills, 4 courses were generated. 2 were job specific, 2 were general skills. And then when I click on courses, this is where your dream plan comes in. I've got a couple of team members who call this gold or your virtual business consultant, but this is where you can look at all of your courses, the descriptions, reasoning, and it has already created those skills connections for you. So you can see that the gap has been removed, the guesswork has been removed, and the training plan is available on screen. Sandra, would you like to add anything before I move further talking about phases and proficiency impact?
I'll just add that, and I think you said it, Ali, but these courses, because of the selections you made when you created the plan, were created for you, whether that was from pure web information or from a selection of the materials that you fed the system. These are full courses, understanding how to cluster and group specific content to develop skills and to move somebody through those various phases of proficiencies. So we've actually taught AI how learners learn, how we should group complementary and skills that are necessary before each other as part of the creation of this course blueprint.
Thank you, Sandra. So, like as she mentioned, right, assume this is a workshop where your senior leaders are sitting together. You've got your director of training, director of operations, your analytics team. Once you basically work through the course plan and looking at the information such as if I click on this course, the actual course name, descriptions, areas, and impact on these KPIs, you can also then go ahead and look at your course material, for example, where you could see the sort of details that the system creates for you. So all of that work has been done by the system. Now, once everyone is happy and they decide to move ahead, let me go back to the learning plans here. As Sandra mentioned, the system also creates phases for you. It will guide you that if you would like to roll this plan out, you could do that in phase 1. The system is recommending these courses to be assigned to those shift supervisors. And then phase 2, you've got these 4 courses. Phase 3, you've got some other courses. So the system does all of that work for you. And then from here on, what you can also do is then click on proficiency impact, which is where you get some really great insights, such as if we were to roll this training plan out, it is going to increase the proficiency levels, the ratings for each and every shift supervisor. You can see on the right-hand side, the confidence level goes high too. It also shows you the most improved skills and the least improved skills over here. I won't go through a lot of data here, but to let you know, there is a lot of insight that you can see on screen. Again, it comes in handy when you're dealing and you're discussing that with your senior management, or in a workshop style, insights, data, and then you can focus on the different areas. And then from here on, when I click on business impact, this is more of those monetary gains now with a more realistic scenario once the training has been completed. And once this can be viewed, the system gives you adoption rates and influence rates details too. And lastly, the training tab, which is where you could go ahead and assign training for your specific shift supervisors, as I had mentioned, or you can roll it out to everyone in a specific state, in a specific country. It really depends on how you want to set it up. That is where the system is very flexible. Sandra, would you like to add any other comments here before we move into the Learning in Action Assistant tool?
You know I will. I think this is really where some of the power of the solution is coming into full view. And that is a lot of organizations are talking about how intuitive it is that if we invest in training our people, that they should perform better. And many of these pieces were missing to have that dialogue in the same way that another business leader might. So the ability to forecast what is the realistic gain if we invest in training this group of people with the right materials to develop the right skills? This is that business forecast ahead of making the decision that you're actually going to roll out this training that has been missing for many learning leaders.
Thank you, Sandra. So let's look at the last part of our demo, which is where we will introduce our Learning in Action Assistant operational tool. This comes in handy where shift supervisors, once they complete their training, um, they might have some questions because a majority of the times they might not remember the information that they went through the training course. So what I'm going to do here is click on Start New Chat, and we will go ahead and ask a question in Lena, which is a customer wants a dairy-free and sugar-free Terra Chill blend, but is worried about cross-contamination. How do I prep it safely? Now, when I click on Enter, the system is going to go ahead and look for uh, responses in the resources that the shift supervisor has access to. It's not going to go out on the web and look for information. It is only going to look for all the files that this person has access to, as I mentioned. This is a response that came up. And on the right-hand side, Lena is also pointing out where it picked up the information from. So this could be a file such as a PDF file, a video, it could be a MP3, it could be a course. So from here on, if that shift supervisor wants to access that resource, they can simply click on it and it will take them straight to that resource. Let's go ahead and ask another question, which is, in this case, I left a gallon of milk out during the rush and its internal temperature is now 12 degrees Celsius. Is it safe for us to use? When I click on this, again, it is going back to the resources, looking at all the information that this person has access to. And there you go. It says, no, it's not safe to use, and it gives you the reasoning. So it's a great operational tool where they can ask information on the fly. The system will give you those details and it will cover gaps. I do want to mention a couple of things right after this, but Sandra, would you like to add anything here?
No, I think you really highlighted one of the important capabilities, which is it's answering questions that that learner has access to. And a really important part of the delivery of these AI tools searching information is that we respect the security and the protocols that are in place. So I think you mentioned that, but I'm just going to emphasize.
Thank you, Sandra. A couple of other things. You can also provide feedback, such as if you like the response, you can click on the good response icon or the thumbs up icon here. So the system is collecting all of that information, which is what I wanted to share. Because majority of the time, customers ask us, we see our team members ask questions. What are you doing with that data? So behind the scenes, what is happening is the administration tool of Lena, which is the learning and action assistant, is capturing all of that information using AI technology to go ahead and look at patterns. Is this a common question that's coming up from shift supervisors or baristas? So in that case, it is going to also go ahead and then recommend that because this is a gap that has been identified, would you like to go ahead and create a course which covers these areas? So that sort of information is also held behind the scenes. We can absolutely spend more time into those sort of details and the tool, but very quickly wanted to touch on that there is a lot being done with the data that ingests over here.
Yeah, and I think, Ali, the other piece of that is because we have the information about what business areas are impacted, not only can we continue to refine the training curriculum that's being delivered to people, the reinforcement that's being delivered to people, but we can also help the leadership team understand any areas of exposure that they might be subject to because of gaps in skills or gaps in the education of the employee population, and go in like quite surgically and just resolve those particular skills. In this case, a food safety concern could actually ladder up to additional risk. So we've got a really intelligent system gathering that data, developing the training on an ongoing basis. And as you saw by Ali clicking through the Learning Impact Suite, generating that content at the pace that an organization needs to keep up with what's happening with business changes. So I really appreciate you taking us through that section of the demo.
No, thank you, Sandra. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yes, I will hand it back to you then. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to move into Q&A. And we do have a couple of questions that came in while we were going through. And Ollie, I'm just going to turn over to you. There is a QR code on the screen that I put there if you want to click through and just learn a little bit more on your own. But Ollie, I'll turn it over to you to walk through the questions that came in during the session.
I just changed my headset. Are you hearing me okay, Sandra?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So the first question, actually, we have a few. The first question is Lena only available for management? No, it's a permission specific functionality. So you can decide who will receive it. It could be for management. It could be for frontline team members. You choose that. So it's a permission. Second question, and let me read through this. Okay. Is it available on the mobile app? Yes, it is available on the mobile app. And we also have the audio functionality enabled. So rather than typing on your phone or tablet, you can tap the microphone and ask a question. And Lena, which is Learning and Action Assistant, will give you the response. The third one, wow, we have some Lena questions. What technology are you using for Lena? So for Lena, which is our learning and action assistant, we're using cloud with AWS Bedrock technology. Um, skills can we modify skills and descriptions? Yes. So what you saw today, all the skills were suggested by the AI engine. At the end of the day, you can control that. You can go and modify the skills. You can modify the descriptions. Absolutely, you can control that too. Can I add my own business metrics in there? Yes, you can. You can add your own business metrics. What you saw was just a suggestion from the AI engine, but you have full control. You can go and add your own business metrics and you can add your own number in there too. Will it train your LLM? No, it won't train our LLM. This is basically an isolated enterprise engine where whatever questions you ask stays within your isolated engine. It does not train any language models out there. Approximately how quickly approximately how quickly are courses to set up for, say, a base level employee, a week, month? Great question. So this is where the power of AI comes in. You can generate all of the content, the training plan in less than 1 hour. But again, because AI is helping you do majority of the work, what we suggest is human validation where your team can go in and look at the content and modify that if needed be. So it does not take a week or a month. The content is available to you in less than an hour, but then you can actually take your time, modify it, validate it, and then roll it out whenever you like. I hope I answered your question there. And the last one, do we have to use the skills that AI generates, or can I add my own? Great question. If you don't have a framework, AI does the work for you, 80%, I would say, where you can go in and accept those skills. You can reject those skills. But then if you have your own skills also, you can add them. You can have mix and match together, right? So you don't have to go with what AI suggests. You can use your own, and then basis of what you enter in the system, it will generate the content for you, which includes a relationship, which includes KPIs and areas of focus. All right. How old is pulled from on typical documents like tables? Not really sure. I think the question probably is how can we pull the data from documents like tables? If that is the case, please feel free to clarify there. But our technology ingests all of these documents and then converts them into text, and then you can ask a question there. So I guess I did not answer your question. If you want to repeat that, please. There is a question which I just need to understand the use cases here.
Yeah, and I'm going to voice over a little bit of what you said, Ali. And I think we've been very intentional about human in the loop. And one of the things that we found is just the barrier to get started. So let's look at that from a skills perspective. A lot of times there's a lot of effort and taxonomy debates and things that we're doing in the back end just to get to skills. So if you think about how can we remove that barrier so that we help learning teams build out a skills set quickly, um, the technology is going to do that for you. There was a pencil next to every one of the items that Ollie was presenting on screen. We don't call it that. That's not our exact observable behavior. Let AI do the work and still put human in the loop to add those finishing touches to make this your own. But the engine is going to look at brand standards, voice, so that we're not doing things like conflict resolution generically. We're doing resolution at Brew with the kind of techniques that you would be offering that are authentic to your brand and authentic to some of your own policy and practices. But let AI do that first skills mapping. Very often, too, we find learning teams, even HR teams, they don't have access to what are the business metrics that the organizations I'm trying to support are tracking. Let AI do that first pull for you. If you have a robust KPI set, we can read that in, or we can get you started and enable you to have a different kind of conversation with the head of store operations or the individuals. Again, you're writing training plans to support what they're trying to do. We need to get that data into the learning system so that you can go from there. So let AI generate that first set, and then we can either edit it inside the system or connect directly to your performance management systems. And then for the course creation, let's write those training plans or even individual courses. You're rolling out a new menu item. We can literally uplift or upload the data about that new menu item and generate a micro training course off of it. But let's let AI do that first piece of work to accelerate, put human in the loop to make those appropriate edits, and then let it get it into the hands of the people that need it by distributing that training, either based on a skills gap that we've identified or a training program that we need entire teams to take. And then Ali, I
Sandra,
don't,
I got a clar Yeah,
yeah.
we got some clarification on that question. So a lot of our learning materials are in the form of tables. currently one of our pain points is AI pulling materials from tables, not just Word documents. Curious how well Schoox works with that. So thank you for that clarification. Yes, we've tested this. We have some of our customers who have nutrition tables, allergens in the form of tables, proteins, all of those details. The system ingests that, and you can ask a question. It scans it, and it will give you responses based on that. And the data was primarily in a table format. Uh, More than happy to have a discussion after this call. Please feel free to reach out to us. We can absolutely set up a call and test it with you. But absolutely, we've done data handling from a table, not Word documents. So videos, SCORM courses, PDFs, tables, Word documents, and a few others. Great questions. Thank you. All right, Sarah, I think those were the questions that I can see here, and I think we've responded to all of them.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And as Ollie said, we'd be more than happy to show you what this could look like in your environment. If you click on that link, there's a place where you can request time with us, or certainly we're happy to respond to you all individually. You can reply back to the email with a link to this recording. So, Ollie, thank you so much for demoing, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for your time, and I wish a great day to everybody. Thank you so much.